So President Trump did not visit troops over the Thanksgiving holiday, but he did hold a conference call with military leaders to thank them for their service and also vent about political topics like trade. Let's bring in Paul Rieckhoff. He's the founder and CEO of Iraq and Afghanistan Veterans of America and author of Chasing Ghosts. Paul, great to have you here.
Good morning.
So listen, there were people who were speculating that there were some signs, we were reading the tea leaves, that maybe the president would make a surprise trip someplace over Thanksgiving. He did not do that. He did golf. That came back from Mar-a-Lago, and he had his Thanksgiving there. But let's really talk about this. Is it important for the president to go to a war zone, a danger zone, and visit troops? It's a nice gesture. Is it really important for a U.S. president to do that?
I think it is. You don't have to do it, but I think you really should do it. It's kind of like going to your kids' soccer games, right? You don't have to do it, but it's a good thing to do. You want to show your support. And you know, war is not a game, but our troops feel forgotten, especially around holiday times, around Thanksgiving, around the end of the year, and especially in Afghanistan. You know, they often feel like America is going on without them, and that their service and their sacrifice is often forgotten. And especially this weekend, it was Thanksgiving, but an Army Ranger was killed in Afghanistan. Leandro Jasso, 25 years old, on his third tour. You know, he was killed in action. We need to honor those folks. We need to remember them. We need to support their families back home.
But let me challenge you on the notion that they feel forgotten, because I've heard from service members, and here's what they like. They like that President Trump talks about them a lot. They like that he expresses adulation or admiration for their service. They like the $674 billion in defense appropriations for fiscal 2018. They like the host of new equipment purchases. They like the largest military pay raise in a decade. So,
sure.
So where are we? I mean, don't they? Well, doesn't that action speak louder than a visit?
I think it's got to be both. And I think it's also got to be corrective action when things go wrong. Like, for example, the VA right now has got major problems. The GI Bill checks that are supposed to be going to student veterans around the country aren't getting cut on time. The president's not focusing his fury on the VA right now. He's focused on plenty of other targets, but not the VA. That's where they want to see focus. They want to see focus on suicide. They want to see focus on reforming the bureaucracy around their mental health and their health care. That's what they want to see. So it's got to be both. And I think also the politics have to be removed from it. That call last week, it's not helpful to drag in Supreme Court justices and all this other stuff when you're on a call with troops overseas. They don't need to hear that. They need focus, and they know their service isn't being politicized.
So it didn't. You don't think it went over well with the military? I mean, the reports back from the military leaders was that they were sort of baffled by the president veering into conversations about trade.
Yeah. I mean, there's a third rail, and it's mixing political and military, and he's done it over and over again. We see our military being politicized over and over again, and that's just a bad place for the president to go. You know, he is inexperienced, right? He wasn't a governor, he wasn't a senator. You learn a lot of this on the course of that time in service, but really, it's a guardrail that you shouldn't hit, especially around the holidays. And I think you see him hitting it over and over again. He's done it with the Khan family. He's done it with John McCain. He did it with Admiral McCraven. I mean, it's becoming a pattern. I think he's got to be more sensitive to that, because even his numbers in the military are dropping. It's been a base of support for him, but we've seen them going down, and I think these things are starting to pile up.
That's interesting. He also, let's be honest, doesn't have any military service. He avoided it, but sometimes he does speak as if he knows how to channel how the military is feeling. So here's this moment from Tuesday about what he said about how they're feeling at Thanksgiving. Listen to this.
Right.
Oh, you don't worry about the Thanksgiving. These are tough people. They know what they're doing, and they're great, and they've done a great job. You're so worried about the Thanksgiving holiday for them. They are so proud to be representing our country on the border.
What did you hear in that statement?
A lack of empathy. I think, you know, they are tough people. They're doing incredible things, but they also need support, and it's his job to do it. It's his job to remember them on Thanksgiving. And look, he could have gone to the border, right? I mean, it's not a trip to Afghanistan. It's not that much farther from Mar-a-Lago. So I think he has to understand their service. He has to support their service, but he also has to be a part of it. As the commander-in-chief, you got to increase the morale. You got to stay connected. Nobody speaks on behalf of all troops, not me, not Donald Trump, not anybody. But I think you've got to understand their plight and connect them with the American people. That's the job of the commander-in-chief over and over again and throughout the rest of his presidency.
There was one more moment that the president took heat for over the weekend, and that was when asked what he was thankful for. That is just a softball. That is just the moment where you talk about the troops and about their sacrifice. The president had a different take, so here's that moment.
What are you most thankful for, Mr. President?
For having a great family, and for having made a tremendous difference in this country. I've made a tremendous difference in the country. This country is so much stronger now than it was when I took office that you wouldn't believe it.
How'd that go over?
Yeah, I don't think that went over too well. And I think folks would be thankful if he focused on the military, focused on fixing the VA, right? Like, that, I would be thankful, many vets would be thankful if he even commented on the fact that GI Bill checks aren't being cut on time to thousands of veterans around the country. That's the kind of focus we need around the holidays, not more politics, not praising yourself, right? The military is about selfless service. It's about others before yourself, and that's what we need from all leaders of all parties.
And look, the president had said that he was going to fix the VA. That was something that he had talked about as a candidate. So what grade do you give the president in these past 2 years?
Incomplete right now. I mean, he hasn't really focused on the VA secretary. I mean, this is a major catastrophe happening at the VA right now where folks aren't getting paid on time around the holidays. Some of them may have to drop out of school. They're facing housing challenges, financial stress. Look, dig into that, right? He's focused plenty of attention on a lot of his enemies, but not on the VA secretary, right? Bring that focus and that heat down in the VA and get it cleaned up. Every president walks into Washington and says, I'm going to clean the VA up. It's like saying I'm going to clean up Washington, right? It's the ultimate throwaway line, but unfortunately, almost every president fails. And so far, he's not getting it done.
So last, what's your wish list? If today the president could wave his pen or a wand, what would you have him fix today?
Number one is suicide. That's the number one issue for all our members. They've talked about it. It's a part of our Big Six, focusing on women veterans. Burn pits are our Agent Orange of our generation. Toxin exposures that are really hurting a lot of folks. Protecting the GI Bill. These are the top issues that we need focus on all the time, not just around the holidays.
Oh, my gosh. Paul Rieckhoff, thank you so much for always coming in and heightening our awareness about everything.
Thank you,
We
Alice.
really appreciate it.